Hello guys, this is today's Tan editorial, Indian held Kashmir and human rights. While the right-wing BJP government in New Delhi has tried to brush the Kashmir issue under the carpet, there is no denying the fact that this is the key obstacle to the peace in South Asia. Brush the Kashmir issue under the carpet means to hide. There is no denying the fact these both are idioms. We have also highlighted the difficult words like obstacle, which means hurdle. If the Kashmir question is resolved as per the demands of justice and most importantly as per the wishes of Kashmiri people, the temperature in the region is likely to come down very quickly, leading to better relations between India and Pakistan. Prime Minister Imran Khan during his recent visit to Sri Lanka has stressed this point, telling a conference in Colombo that my dream for the subcontinent is that we resolve our differences and that we want the Kashmir dispute to be resolved according to the UNSC resolutions. However, a just resolution of Kashmir question requires an end to the brutal tactics that India has unleashed in disputed region, as well as the accountability and punishment for those who have violated the people's fundamental rights. This point was rightly raised by the Human Rights Minister Shiri Mizari while addressing a session of the UN Human Rights Council. This is the MCQ's Human Rights Minister is Shiri Mizari. In particular, Dr. Mizari slammed the double standards of self-declared global champions of human rights who have preferred to keep quiet on the Kashmir issue even after India stepped up in its repressive tactics following the scrapping of region's special status in the Indian constitution. Slam means criticize, repressive means oppressive, and scrapping means abolish. You can see the difficult meanings in the PDF version that is given below. They have chosen to prioritize political, strategic and commercial interest over human rights, she observed, while asking the global community to stand on the right side of history and call out the grave abuses in Indian-held Kashmir. Indeed, many in the West do not lose a moment to castigate geopolitical rivals. Castigate means criticize. These rivals are China, Iran, North Korea, for example, over real and perceived violations of human rights. Double dashes separate the sentence from the remaining sentence. However, the violations of clients and partner states are conveniently overlooked as these states are needed to advance geopolitical agendas and human rights concerns appear to be expendable. If the peace is to come to South Asia, then the brutal human rights violations in Indian-held Kashmir must end forthwith, and New Delhi accept the fact that it has perpetrated decades-long abuse in occupied region. Once this is done, a framework needs to be created to help resolve the dispute involving the three main stakeholders. Those are Pakistan, India and Kashmir. If New Delhi keeps on claiming the Kashmir is an internal issue, it is clearly not as per the UN, then peace will be difficult to achieve. We can again see that these punctuation marks separate this sentence from the remaining sentence. India's foreign allies can play a major part in promoting peace by letting New Delhi know that the status quo in occupied region is not okay and that multi-stakeholders dialogue can lead to an end to the imbroglio. If India continues to pamper and Kashmir polite ignored, peace in South Asia will remain a distant dream. Imbroglio means complex situation, while polite means unfortunate situation. This editorial named A Better Law discussed about the enactment of new law for the Sindh Police. That the Sindh Police has taken an initiative to bring improvements to the criminal justice system is a positive development. The law enforcement agency has suggested a number of amendments to the colonial-era criminal procedure code that would reduce the burden on police, courts, prosecution, and prisons, and also make access to justice less cumbersome for the citizens. Cumbersome means complicated. Among the proposed changes are the enactment of alternative Resolution mechanism and civil rights, bail and pecuniary penalties for suspects in custody for possessing a small quantity of contraband. Enactment means legislation or new lawmaking, while pecuniary means related to the money and contraband means illegal or prohibited traffic in goods like smuggling. It has also been suggested that an SP-ranked officer should be made responsible for authorizing or disallowing an arrest, as the case may be. At present, Section 54 of the Criminal Procedures gives unbridled powers of arrest to SHOs, station house officers, which are often abused. One can use these facts to support their thesis statement. These suggestions do have merit. Every dispute does not have to end up in court but can be resolved before matters escalate. Escalate means increase rapidly, while fears that an ADR mechanism might strengthen parallel justice forums cannot be discounted if handled cautiously by the state. It could save the aggrieved parties time and expense involved in court proceedings. Also, our overcrowded jails are heaving with under trial prisoners as well as convicts serving long sentences for having been in possession of small amount of contraband. Heaving means extremely crowded and contraband means smuggled. Procedural changes can rationalize this system with penalties proportionate to the crime and at least partly address the problem of overcrowded facilities. However, a qualitative difference at the policing end of the criminal justice system depends upon two important considerations. First one is trust between law enforcement and public, and the second one is truly empowered and independent police. Unfortunately, both these factors are missing in Sindh. Extrajudicial killings for which no accountability appears to be on horizon, police pressurizing victims to compromise with well-connected perpetrators of crime against them. Linked with this is political interference in police operations, particularly where transfers and postings are concerned. These interventions have often created rifts between IG Sindh and federal appointee and the provincial government. Such issues must be addressed if the criminal justice system is to see real improvements. Finally, the last editorial is Power Breakdown Report. A NEPRA inquiry into last month's power breakdown that left almost the entire country without electricity for up to 22 hours has identified serious violations of safety and security protocols, as well as flaws in generation and disruption operations that resulted in the extended blackout. The probe underlines that barring a few hydel power plants, none has arrangements required to urgently restore supply to consumers. Probe means a thorough investigation into a crime or other matters. Barring means except from. The report rightly laments the fact that the failure of power authorities to fully execute recommendations of investigations into earlier similar events had contributed majorly to the latest countrywide power breakdown. And here laments means a passionate expression of grief or sorrow. The fault, for example, originated at Guttu power station, the same place where multiple such events have occurred over the last 1 decade, implying nothing had been done by the plant operators to prevent future breakdowns. NEPRA points out that the system operators NTDC and K-Electric have also not established any contingency plans or developed guidelines for early system recovery following a total or partial shutdown. Contingency means a future event or circumstance which is not possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. The report also reinforces the popular view that the country's power sector is getting crushed under the heavy burden of poor governance and incompetence of power bureaucracy. It is also a signal for the government to undertake urgent reform in power bureaucracy and bring in qualified professionals to run the operations of public sector companies. This could actually be the first step towards reorganizing the crumbling sector for improved governance to reduce inefficiencies and corruption. The appointment of retired or serving military men and powerful bureaucrats to key posts in the power companies is largely to blame for the rapid decay. There is accumulation of debt of over 2.3 billion, increased transmission losses, electricity theft, lower bill collection, lack of transparency, and poor governance. The second area where the government needs to take immediate steps relates to the adoption of new technology for averting large-scale breakdowns in future. Appointing the right person to the right job and adoption of advanced technology can address most issues plaguing the power sector. Thank you so much.